Nightly greetings, one and all. William Theo here, homegrown and happy to be bringing you the major events here at home and all across the planet in the last 24-hour news cycle. And tops on our news leaderboard tonight. At least 4 people lost their lives after a Russian missile strike hit a Gothic-style building in the southern Ukrainian city of Odesa. Better known as the Harry Potter Castle, the building turrets were still burning at nightfall and the blaze rated as severe. There was not enough time for residents to seek cover or shelter, given the air raid sirens sounded off minutes earlier. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg, who paid a visit to the capital Kiev earlier yesterday, said the alliance or its members failed to deliver what they promised in due time, paving the way for Russia to capitalize and exploit battlefield edges. Help, though, is on the way after U.S. President Joe Biden and Congress approved a way overdue relief and aid package to Ukraine in the amount of $61 billion. In line with his government's Going Green policy to shift to a cleaner and more sustainable energy source, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. in a sectoral meeting at Malacanang earlier today ordered to expedite the development of the e-vehicle industry. Department of Energy Undersecretary Felix William Fuentabella said the president also made clear his directive for government to integrate e-vehicles into the country's public transport sector for a more comprehensive shift from the traditional motor and combustion engine automobiles to hybrids or purely battery-powered vehicles. And even though hybrid and electric vehicles have been around for the last 25 to 30 years, the country has so few to show for 100% of 14.3 million autos registered in 2023, or roughly 7,700. To jumpstart this venture, the president directed the acquisition of such vehicles en masse by way of commercial or public transport fleets. The pro-Palestinian fervor among college students in American schools and campuses has spread and is holding ground despite riot police tactics by law enforcement and threats of suspension and/or expulsion by school authorities. VOA's Natasha Moscovaya reports from an encampment inside the University of Washington in Lady Bird Johnson.
On Monday at Columbia University, the site of the first of dozens of campus encampment protests across the U.S., pro-Palestinian demonstrators defied university orders to leave the tents or face suspension.
Students in the backers, they will not be scared into dispersing. This is not a rules violation. This is a movement, and they will be here as long as it takes. We have a large community. They're very resilient. We'll stay until we're moved by force. From the river to the sea.
On the West Coast, protesters set up a new encampment Monday at the University of Washington in Seattle, demanding an end to the war in Gaza and university divestment from Israel. The camp got brand new tent mats, free burritos distributed by the protesters, and every 20 minutes chants could be heard in support of Intifada, the Palestinian uprising against Israel, and even of Yemen Houthi rebels targeting the ships in the Red Sea. The university planted several no camping allowed signs at the liberal arts quadrangle, known as the Quad, where the protesters erected their tents.
A piece of wood is not going to deter us from standing in solidarity with Palestine. We're prepared for anything, but ultimately, if there are arrests, that is not because of choices that we made. That is a choice of university administration, the University of Washington Police Department, and the Seattle Police Department. I'm prepared to risk that.
Some faculty members argued that the university administration shouldn't have allowed for the encampment to form. Professor Stuart Regis, who teaches computer science, hopes the protest doesn't get to the point where police intervene.
I'm a little concerned that the university is allowing them to violate our own policies. I think if this was a White Lives Matter camp that was flying Confederate flags and upsetting black students who might be walking by, I don't think it would be allowed. So I think there's a double standard here that they're allowing this, but I'm glad that so far it's peaceful. I hope it stays that way.
Protesters say they're planning to stay until their demands are met.
The first is to end the repression of pro-Palestinian students, staff, and faculty. The second is that this university materially divest from Israel. And the third is that it cut ties with Boeing.
The aerospace company, with factories based in the state of Washington, collaborated with Israel in developing its anti-missile Arrow 3 defense system that recently successfully intercepted ballistic missiles fired by Iran against Israel. Israel supporters ask why the protesters are not addressing the topic of Hamas and the hostages it keeps in Gaza.
Well, I feel great sympathy for the families of hostages. Here in the United States, I have to look at what I can do. And I see that my government is providing billions of dollars in military aid to Israel.
Besides the call for ceasefire, the protesters' messages vary when it comes to a long-term solution. Some hope for a future democratic state for all citizens, while repeating organizers' call for global intifada. Natasha Mozgovaya, VOA News, Seattle.
At this juncture, we turn to our colleague in PTV's Pine City studios for the latest developments in the Cordillera.
Naimbag Arabi Pilipinas, no pay awan pa iti panagtutudo. Nakit daw ti panagtignay dagiti barangay iti Baguio City kontra iti posible akaso ti dengue. Mangrugi intun Hunyo. Binili ni Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong ti City Health Services Office arugyandan ti preventive programs kontra iti dengue tapno malapdan ti posibilidad ti outbreak. Karaman dito iti panakisubli ti Denguera War Against Dengue program tapno ma-mobilize dagiti barangay amang sangkat iti massive and simultaneous search and destroy operations tunggal Huwebes. Sigun iti mayor tinawon ngamin apakasaknan ti dengue manipud Hunyo aging Oktubre a matutudo. Sanpay ang nagrugi ti bulan ti panagtudo ngem addanti sa magmamano akaso ti dengue ang nilista ti City Health Services Office.
However, it's within the limit. Hindi po natin nakikita ang clustering for now. Okay, we are looking, syempre no, as we go on with the year, no, syempre ang pinaka-peak niyan yung during the rainy season.
Iti sa balipay adamag 8 a drug personalities ti natiliw ken nasruk 19 million pesos met agatad ti illegal a droga ti nakumpiskar iti makalawas nga anti-illegal drug operations ti pulisya iti Cordillera. Upat ti nabigbig a high value individuals bayat nga upat ti street levels individuals. Upat ti natiliw iti Baguio City, 2 iti Benguet ken 2 met ijay Kalinga. Nakumpiskar kadakwada ti nasruk 52 a gramo ti mapapati a shabu ken nasruk 4,000 a gramo ti dried marijuana leaves ngagatad iti nasruk 8,000 pesos. Sumangsango dagiti suspect iti kaso panaglabsing iti Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. Kabihatan na nagsisinamot a marijuana eradication tinisangkat iti Benguet ken Kalinga. Iti pakabuklan, nadadaal ti nasurok 17,000 apidaso ti fully grown marijuana plants ken nasurok 128 a gramo ti dried marijuana leaves ngaggatad iti nasurok 18 million pesos. Dagiti damdamag manipod dito'y PTV Cordillera, siya ni Ala Sunduan, Naimbag Arabi.
Thank you, Ala, and that's all she wrote for tonight. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same location on your remote and/or browser. A restful night ahead.